Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I will be covering one of Melbourne's strangest closed railway lines. This is the Mont Park Line, a 1 kilometre single track branch of the Hurstbridge Line that opened in 1911 to serve the Mont Park Asylum Mental Hospital. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Mont Park Asylum was one of the first mental hospitals in Melbourne. Officially being designated the Mont Park Hospital for the Insane, its goal was to help rehabilitate those deemed mentally insane, using many dubious early 20th century medical practices. Overcrowded wards, lobotomies, padded rooms, Mont Park had it all. Most patients who were well enough were employed as farmers and gardeners at the hospital complex. In 1911, trains were the easiest way to get supplies to and from the asylum, and so the Mont Park line was built to serve the precinct, and the new Mont Park station opened to coincide with the asylum's completion. The line was electrified in 1928, 5 years after the rest of the Hurstbridge line. The main purpose of this line was to allow freight and goods to be sent to the asylum complex, although several times there were proposals for passenger service on the line for the residents that lived near the asylum, and in 1946 a law was passed allowing passenger trains to run into Mont Park Station, with it even appearing on some old railway maps. Unfortunately, this never actually ended up happening, and Mont Park Station closed for good in 1964. The mental hospital, however, remained open until the late 90s, when it was closed and the land used to build the new La Trobe University. Some of the old asylum buildings are still in use by the university as administrative offices. With better foresight, the Mont Park line could have been an incredibly useful connection for students at the university, but unfortunately, the tracks had been removed from the line by the 1970s. Instead, students have to use the much slower Route 86 tram. Originally, the line branched off from Macleod railway station, which is still open today. Interestingly, Macleod, despite not being a very busy station, has 3 platforms, with platform 3 being a dead-end platform for trains to terminate. Contrary to popular belief, this is not a remnant of the Mont Park line, and instead opened 15 years after the original line closed. The city-bound side of the platform has a modern screen display. However, the Hurstbridge side has one of the few remaining LED displays on the network. Platforms 2 and 3 have a few small garden beds between them. Macleod is also a staffed station, with a customer service office open first to last train, 7 days a week. The busier city-bound platform has an indoor waiting room with a vending machine, while the lesser used platforms 2 and 3 have a much more modest setup. To get between platforms, there's a pedestrian level crossing. The western entrance of the station takes you to a bus stop to connect with the station's one bus route, the 561 to Pascoe Vale. On the eastern side, you can find Macleod's busy main shopping strip along Aberdeen Road, with a park on the other side. On weekdays, there are 6 trains that leave this platform, with only one on weekends. The section directly after the branch at Macleod is now the home of the Macleod Recreation and Fitness Centre. Just across Cherry Street, we find the start of the trail. Since its closure, the line has been turned into a nature reserve, with hundreds of trees forming a dense forest around the park. There's very little indication that this was once a train line, as unlike other rail trails, none of the paths are named after it. The only evidence of its existence is this small sign about a quarter of the way up the trail, which gives a brief explanation of its origins. As the line reaches the crossing at Springthorpe Boulevard, the forest ends and it becomes a more traditional linear park, similar to Melbourne's other rail trails. The line continues further until finally reaching the end at Ernest Jones Drive. This was where the Mont Park station platform was located. Even after the line was demolished, the platform remained abandoned for over 30 years and was still visible into the 1990s, until finally in 2001, a new plan to redevelop the area was approved, creating a large park with water features. Signs documenting the history of the line were supposed to be built here, but this never happened, and there's pretty much zero indication that there ever used to be a train station here. So, is there any chance of the Mont Park line reopening? Well, I think it's quite unlikely. The northern section of the suburban rail loop plans to place the station at La Trobe University, while this is likely not to open until at least 2045. The old station location is still quite a while away from the main part of the university, and so would likely require an extension in order to reach the main campus, with a new station built at this location. A new line would also likely require the destruction of large sections of the wilderness area built along the old alignment. But overall, the biggest problem is that there are simply many more important rail projects and extensions that should be built and prioritized over a new one-station branch line to a university that's already served by trams. I do think that if the line was built, it would probably have decent ridership for a one-station branch, both from residents of the area and university students, but it may cause frequency issues on the rest of the Hurstbridge line, so it might be better to operate as a shuttle. Regardless, don't expect the line to return anytime soon. And if SRL North is ever built, it would likely serve a similar purpose anyway. Honestly, the Mont Park line is a pretty nice walk that I would definitely recommend to anyone who enjoys old rail trails but doesn't want to walk a super long distance. It's also a lot less busy than, say, the inner or outer circle lines, which are also pretty major cycling routes. The open space at the end can also be a great place to relax. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks to my channel members for supporting my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.